Yo, 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 this is Afi Kingdom. We're going to talk about building and becoming better men. I got myself, Paul Apex, and Alpha Villains. Make sure y'all like the video, share the video. Uh, when we come in, let me get this music playing for you guys and check in.
Infatuated, so you choosing from a mile away. Ain't got much time for me, this time I need it right away. She moving closer, got my hands around her waist. Wish I could go all the way, but right now I just need a taste. Girl, you can get it in the backseat. You in my car, elevation, drive me crazy in this position. Ladies, I let the sheets get at me. Lady, how you finna act? Let's sit down and throw it back. I need a flick. Drip on the fit like I'm 50. I better run it. 100 no frontin'. Amen, I came to kill all your assumptions. Speakers be jumping. Just got the juice. Fuckin' with smooth and got school. Dangerous and so cool. Then they take it back to the back and that's foolish. I can remember. I met her down. Told her home close like, oh no, never mind. Everyone else, it's you and I. You it was on me to slide. And now that I'm here, I see the fire. Don't show desire. Cause I can give it to you till we die. Roll up and go up until we fry.
Yo, 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 yo. Press 1 in the chat if you can hear me. What's up, Joe Blast? Let me go on down real quick. What's going on, Misha? Good to see you in the joint. JB, Benzino, JW. We had a random time today. We gonna give y'all some fire game though, as always. Oh shoot, that's what happened. Hey Topez. Hold on, my camera's free. I need something happen. Hey Topez. So we're gonna talk about bringing masculinity back. Build becoming better, man. We always hear about this extra level pussy chasing, man. And there we go. What's going on? So we always hear about the chasing, man. We need to get down to the source. Come on, dogs.
They're always they're always acting up.
Check in. Apex, what's going on, bro?
Move your ass. What up?
Hey, Paul, how you doing, bro?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. Good to be on here with you, bro.
Muted up?
Yeah, man. Good to be here with you, man. That's good.
You muted up. Can't hear you.
Oh, shit.
Or maybe is that me?
No, it's you. It's you. I can hear him.
Oh.
Now this is a perfect. Well, first things first, man. Thank you for coming on, Afi. Thank you for having me on. I think this is a perfect topic, especially for Paul here, because Paul is a throwback. You know what I'm saying? He's a throwback. He's a dying breed. I had the opportunity to meet him, shake his hand, look at him in the eye. You know what I'm saying? And I followed you and I've heard you on Rule Zero. Shout out to the boys over there. But it's always nice to be able to meet someone in person, look at them in the eye, and their behavior be congruent. It was a lot of commotion. We spoke randomly, but those moments were impactful to kind of say, okay, he's official. So salute to you, bro.
Nice, brother. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Meeting people off the internet, I think that's an important thing for sure. You know, because you see how people are, you know, more so than the persona. And, you know, you see it. Some people match and some people don't. And you guys are, you know, real. Well, both you guys are real dudes. So I like it. You know, I like it. You know,
appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. Try to be the same dude. Try to be the same dude here that I would be in person or anywhere else. You know, have that authenticity. It's what's missing in all this internet men's health, you know, spaces, right?
Absolutely. You know, what's interesting too, Paul, is that, again, like I mentioned, you know, Paul is the epitome, and kind of me too, the strong and silent type. We were mingling, talking. Again, there was a lot of commotion, but I learned more about Paul without him speaking, because when you see him on the internet, he's talking, right? He's talking, but his behavior, his stature, he was in his own world while talking to people, and that said, okay, he's for real, because he's not just talking, he is it. You know what I mean? So, and that's masculinity in itself. Uh-oh, I think Paul's gone.
I'm back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, no, that's it too. That's the thing. You can tell people's behaviors are a lot different than the narrative, you know. And in, you know, in YouTube world now, you got people watching other people's stuff, getting other people's products, taking other people's ideas, and then more or less grifting the ideas. They speak a good game, talk a good game, but they're not really living it, you know. They're not really that person. So we didn't even give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to Afi's audience. I know Afi was having some technical difficulty. We were just chopping it up, man. So if you don't mind, man, introduce yourself to his audience. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I feel Afi's pain on technology, though. I have like a tech problem like all the time. I'm probably worse than anybody. I'm the worst at it.
Bro, me too. We don't have time. We just want to hire somebody to do it. But I hear
exactly. So I'm Paul. As you guys know, Apex Mindset. Go to apexmindset.net to learn more about my bio, and of course, consultations are how I do a lot of my work. Courses. I have some courses in development. My first mini course should be out next week on a bunch of practical exercises that help develop an alpha mindset. So that's the alpha mindset course. And so guys often ask me, well, like, how do I be more alpha? You know, how do I have emotional self-control, outcome independence? You know, how do I embody these behaviors? Well, it's just like going to the gym. You know, you can work your muscles and get stronger. You can go to a self-defense class get better at, fighting and defending yourself in those techniques. Well, you could actually do mental conditioning exercises in order to get better at basically living life and being in the right mind state. And so the course came out of me doing a lot of consultations and giving the same assignments to everybody at a dollar amount that would cost them to be one-on-one with me. Well, I thought to myself, well, damn, I could make a course that would be a less, barrier to entry, less of a cost, that'll give them all of the exercises and all the stuff. And so they could just start doing that work on their own. And then if they book sessions with me or whatever, that's fine. We can work on how.
Good.
Damn. You all right over there?
It's all good.
It's all good. Offie's breaking his house over there. It's all right, man. But yeah, so you can you can just like get access to the course and do that. But that's that stuff. And what I help people with is generally mindset, mental conditioning, mental resiliency, solving problems, handling arguments, achieving goals, those sorts of things. And then it's a lot of sexual marketplace stuff, handling women, handling your relationships, dating, and getting what you want in that area too. So it's both of those things is kind of what I focus on.
Yeah, sounds like just being a man, a man. It's
exactly.
And I can appreciate that too, because I know you've been on other streams and other shows with some heavy hitters that in this space as far as masculinity, affluence, physical, all that shit. You've been around and you have a strong circle. And again, I think Afi's frozen, so I'll just keep running point until he gets back on.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you this. So you talked about exercises and consultation. What is the biggest thing that you find from your consultations, the common denominator? What are the common denominators as far as being a man, building a real man? What are men lacking that you have to give them a grand assignment for them to do?
Yeah. So big one is they don't know who they are. Sounds crazy, but they don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. So they're gravitating towards, channels like yours, mine, Real Zero, all the different spaces, books that are out, all those things, really because their identity was compromised. They're trying to figure out who they are. And usually some damage or trauma happens. So oftentimes they were, handling a girl or in some situation with a chick, and then things went south. You know what I mean? And they lost their girl, and then they start going, wait a second. Everything I knew was not true. All of the things that society was telling me I needed to do to be happy, all the things that I've been doing to be successful, to have what I want in life are failing. Like what the hell's going on?
Right.
And so it's an identity crisis. Well, now who am I? I thought I was, and a lot of guys are growing up without fathers, growing up without male role models. And it's like, or the real male role models and males that they have in their life are weak, are not congruent with themselves. They don't know what their sense of purpose is. And so then they're like, holy crap, I don't even know how to be a man. In fact, society tells me being masculine is a bad idea.
Right.
What am I supposed to do here? And so we do an identity exercise that involves more of a contemplative, kind of meditative journaling exercise. They'll do that at home. It's one of the first exercises I have them do, and discovering actually who they are, because our identities are a pile of genetics, and you go through growing up, responding to the outside world with your genetic makeup, and you are influenced by the outside world, and it's very unintentional, because you're not emotionally mature enough to have that intentionality. So you're growing up with this stuff, and your pile of experiences and responses and behaviors, that ends up being who you are. And some of those things are going to be good, you know what I mean, and productive. And some of those things are going to be terrible. And then the guys are like, well, I guess that's who I am. Well, actually, you can be more intentional about who you are. You can say, well, you know what? This is the kind of man I am. This is what drives me. This is what I want to do in life. This is the person that I am and that I want to embody. So I'm going to do these behaviors that match that. And then I'm going to challenge and recondition or change behaviors that don't match. And that's how we get rid of limiting beliefs, limiting emotional responses, and limiting behaviors. You know what I mean? Yep. So you challenge them because they don't belong with who you are and your best concept of the best version of who you are. And so there's exercises to embody that version of yourself, and then you start behaving like that in the environment more. That makes any sense.
Bro, real quick before Afi goes in, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna forget. That was
Yeah.
so powerful. Just to let you behind the scenes. Again, I had an opportunity to listen to Paul speak in on a podcast behind the scenes, and he blew me away, bro. So what you said was so critical. You said you create an exercise for men to identify or define who they are.
Right.
Sometimes you also said that genetic makeups, right? Your height, your weight, your face structure is something that is beyond your control. However, people with no role models use their physical attributes, right, to help society guide them, and they listen to that. So if you're not over 6 feet tall, you're not a Chad, you're not a Tyrone, you don't have a strong jaw. Fuck it, this is who I am. Let me just turn black pill. Let me just hate everybody and not do the work. So what I like about what you're doing is the first exercise is giving a person to identify themselves or create themselves based on the cards that they were dealt.
Yep.
Right. And if you were handed a bad hand, the first thing you got to do is play your hand and ask to be hit again. The sooner you play the cards that you were dealt, you see where you're at in the game. So I love that you said that, bro. Very powerful.
No, yeah. It's like it makes you comfortable with your shortcomings too. Like we all have limitations and shortcomings, right? Yeah, I got a whole bunch of them. And it's okay though. Like I'm really comfortable with that. So now I don't care. Like this is when we're all hanging out in social environments. I don't really care like about those things. And then if I've made mistakes or screw up. In fact, in some ways, like I even have to be careful in my personal life because I'm so damn authentic and not caring about people knowing about those things that I'll say some shit and then people get like the wrong idea. It's like, okay, well, that's a one-sided view or I'll say, I would have a tendency, I might even, oh, here's a conflict I had with a chick or something that didn't work out. And then it's like, why are you putting that on YouTube, man? Like, so like I can put too much of my personal life out there because I'm so comfortable with the things that I have shortcomings in. And when you recognize those things, you're comfortable with at least understanding it, then you can fix them, change them, or overcome them, or double down on other traits.
Absolutely.
I got guys that are 5'6", 5'5", slaying it with women, like absolutely slaying it, like super Chads, super Tyrones, and it's like, well, why? It's a mindset, that's why. It's they accept that they're 5'5", and they'll throw so much dominance on a girl who's, a head taller than them wearing heels, you know what I mean? And have her just, crumbling in his arms basically because he's comfortable with that genetic hand that he was dealt, and not a big deal. Right. So that's part of what the identity thing will do too, is get guys to identify shortcomings. They might not be able to change or fix, but because they're genetic, like physical attributes, for example, but that's okay too, being all right with that. Yeah.
Real quick, shout out to Letter Gould for the super chat. RPC and Nelly, I see you, brothers. I think guys need to understand also the power of goal setting, because the goal setting gets you confidence when you have accomplished things. When you've accomplished things and you're good at doing different stuff, it gives you an energy and a confidence that you can't buy, and even getting a lot of cheeks ain't gonna give you either. You know what I'm saying?
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the thing too. So back to the goal setting part of it. A lot of times guys have goals that don't fit their identity and they don't even realize it. They're doing a set of goals that everyone else told them was going to be a good idea. I did the same thing. Like, I'm not like this perfect person who like magically had all the answers. I did the same thing when I was young. I didn't join the military till a little bit later. That fit more who I was and what I wanted to do, and that I wanted to experience war and some of those experiences of what was going on. But I was pursuing a college degree in business and worked in a bank. Like I had this whole different paradigm that was wrong. It didn't fit who I was. And so you identify who you are, and then you identify from that point. It kind of works backwards. I'll have guys identify what they want their life to look like as best version of them. So how their circles are, how their interaction with their friends, What kind of house are they in? Are they in a rural area? Or are they in an urban area? Do they got 2 dogs or 3 kids? Like, how do they envision their life? How is my life going to be like? Not like what it is to get there yet, but just how it would be like to live that and actually feel it and experience it in a meditative exercise where they actually imagine it, feel it, visualize it. So I'll give you an idea how powerful this was for me. And this is like a crazy thing. This is crazy. I just kind of realized this not too long ago. But back after when I was building a real estate team after active duty and stuff, I did this vision exercise and I did this identity exercise, and I envisioned living in a lake house where I'd wake up, I'd have my hot chick next to me, and maybe we had some sex the night before, that morning, whatever, however that vision goes, in an active meditation, and then she's making me coffee and I'm doing my work on a laptop and I'm in a job that's geographically independent, so I could just travel to Miami like we just did without it interrupting my work, and so I had this vision. I just kind of imagined myself being in that. So I want to show you something. This was back in like 2014, 2015. Let's see if my camera wants to do the right thing here. But all right, so that's my view right now.
Bam.
All right, that's nice. What I look at every day when I'm sitting in my office. All right, and it's like I didn't realize as I was, when I got the place that when I had this, and I have 2 lake houses actually, when I had this stuff going, I didn't like go, oh, this is what I'm gonna, this is my vision. I didn't even think about it. I had done this stuff years ago, this activity, spent about a year on and off doing this little meditation. What it did was it solidified this is the new standard in my brain. So this was now the standard that I was going to operate in. Even though I hadn't achieved it yet, this is the standard now. And so then as I made decisions with my career, my life, and set my goals up and everything, I wasn't even consciously aware half the time. I was pointing myself towards the vision that I had because that vision was the new standard. See, we tend to pull ourselves to standards. So if you want to achieve something up here, but the standard that you're in and what you're used to is down here, you'll self-sabotage. You know what I mean? You'll do things to prevent yourself from getting there. You'll find yourself creating problems where there shouldn't be problems, and it pulls you right back down. Now if you're below your standard too, you'll pull yourself back up. But some people have like really crappy standards and they don't realize it. They want more, but their standards are terrible. They let women, let's say, walk all over them. They don't want it, but that's their standard, so they allow it all the time, right? You all know people. I know people who, when they get down to the last $100 in their pocket, that's when they freak out and start rushing to try to make some money, right? And get that hustle. Where some dudes I've met and know, if they get down to the last $1 million liquid, that's when they freak out. They have the same reaction as the $100 guy in the same hustle. They're just better at their hustle than the $100 guy. What's the difference there? 2 different standards. Now, of course, if you're like doing okay and not $1 million liquid, it's really hard to visualize being at that standard. So what do you might be out of reach right now. But what you do is you visualize the standard for your life that fits your identity, and that becomes now the norm. Anything that is not aiming towards that thing that you're really embodying and visualizing on a regular basis, a few times a week or even every day, anything that doesn't embody that doesn't feel comfortable. You know what I mean? And that gives you discomfort, and then you start behaving differently to change it. This is how we use and trick our brains to trick behaviors and create new behavior patterns to point us in a direction. It's pretty good stuff, man.
Bars. Yeah, I know Afi got some shit to say. What's up, V?
I just want to ask y'all a question just for some fun. I see my man Jada said most guys are just goals are clapping cheeks, which is true.
Yeah.
So we're all a little older. How many cheeks you think you need to clap before you can put cheeks on the back? Is there a number? What do y'all think?
Some people are good with 3. Some people are not good after hundreds, right? I think it's a thing. You know what? I kind of boiled down to something I look at as far as what is masculine. What is really being a man? Like, how can a guy walk in an area, regardless of who he is and how much money he makes and what his status is, and feel completely congruent with himself as an alpha male. And even people with more money, more status, better things going on, different genetic makeups, different things, that they sort of gravitate or look at them for a little bit of leadership, even though they might not be like the most accomplished person in the room. How does a guy have that? Or where's the beginning of that? I think this is going to the clapping cheeks thing. This is why I'm saying it. I think that it is three things. I think if a man is lethal, all right. Now, lethal means that he is a threat to anybody else, in a physical sense. That doesn't mean he's going to win the cage match every time, right? But it just means that he would pose a problem to someone else if they were to try to victimize him. You know, I was watching, what was it? Documentaries, and it had a leopard chasing after a buffalo thing, right? And the leopard got separated from the other groups of leopard, and it was just one leopard, one buffalo. That leopard stopped himself from attacking, jumping on that buffalo. Now, if you put a leopard and a buffalo in a cage match and said they're going to fight, leopard's probably going to win. But the leopard could die in the process, could get injured in the process, because that buffalo is going to defend himself as best as he can. Right. Hell, that buffalo might even win on accident, right?
Right.
And so now that means that that particular animal is lethal. Doesn't mean that he's the best fighter. Doesn't mean he's going to survive every circumstance. We can't be the toughest guy all the time. But being lethal, that's one thing, because that's an instinctual thing, and that gives you a level of comfort and solace, if you will, on a deep level, knowing that you can instinctually handle yourself. Resources. If we had an apocalyptic situation right now, would you survive? Or are you the guy that has trouble walking around the block because you're overweight? Has trouble lifting his own body weight? That guy's probably not going to live in that survival situation. So the chimpanzee in our brain needs to know we could defend ourselves and defend our loved ones if we needed to. It needs to know that we could survive if we needed to, or procure resources if we needed to. And that's the physical component there. You don't have to be the biggest guy in the room, but you have to be healthy, right? If you're not physically healthy, you're dead in that situation. And then the third thing is reproductive problem. Our biggest drive is to mate and have our offspring go into the next generation. Doesn't matter if your human brain says, I don't really want kids, that's okay. But the instinctual chimpanzee brain, this goes to selfish gene theory, wants to propagate your genes. 60% of men in our history never got to do that. They were not selected by women, were unable to mate. So it's an existential threat for men to not be able to mate. So knowing you could solve your reproductive problem, that's what gives you a deep sense of confidence. Doesn't mean you have to bang every girl, but knowing that you could get a good genetic match to have a baby within a very short period of time gives you a deep level of confidence. Absolutely. That some guys don't have that confidence after hundreds of notches. They don't believe in themselves, and they're all constantly trying to prove that they can clap some cheeks. The reason why dudes, get focused on women over their other aspects, there's nothing wrong with being a little focused on solving that reproductive problem. Having good relationships with women is great, but they get too focused on it because they're not confident in their ability to solve that problem. And they're worried, or they didn't have the ability to solve that problem before. They listened to Afi, they learned some game, they bought a book, and now they can get girls and they're seeing success. And now they're like, hey, what if I lose it? I got to make sure I'm spinning 3 plates at least a week, or else I'm going to lose this ability. And you got calm, quiet alphas who are a little bit older, who maybe just bang one chick, or they're, because that's how they want to live their life. Or they're just like, hey, you know what? I'm in a dry spell for 3 months because I'm doing something else and I don't care. And then when they're done with whatever they were doing and done with their little break, they pick right up. And next thing you know, they got 2 or 3 girlfriends. They don't care, and those dudes are totally confident, totally fine. So yeah. So that's for guys listening. There's 3 actionable things right there. If you're not lethal, you're not sure, but don't delude yourself. Don't be like, I don't have any fight training, but you should see me when I'm mad. Okay, Hulk, just go to the go take a self-defense class and quit it. If you're in a physical, if you have problems physically, try to solve that stuff so you can survive. You know what? If you can lift all the weights in the gym, great, but you don't have to do that. You just need to be able to, run around the block if you needed to. have some physical capabilities, be healthy, right? A little bit. You don't even need to be the leanest dude. You got a little bit of pudgy on you, that's fine. But could you survive? That's the question. And then that other thing, are you good enough with women, man? Where like, if you want to have relationships with women, healthy relationships, could you make that happen? Those are three things.
You said a lot, bro, which was you were spot on. You were hitting me in the head. But I'll say this real quick before Afi goes. When is it a good time? Is there a particular number for men to realize after they've hit enough women to focus on their goal? I think it varies from each man. And I think what Paul said too is very important. There are certain guys who know themselves, who are confident that need a certain notch count to feel good about themselves. On the flip side of that coin, they're doing that to fill a void. That's something that may be easy for them, easy with girls, but to fill a void and to ignore a real problem that they need to fix that will require work. A lot of guys that are good with women that are not focused realize as you get older and as they get older, they lose more value because they are extracting resources from you. You're not focused. So as a result of that, then you become bitter. You become middle-aged and you're like, okay, what the hell happened? Number two, real quick, last point is that, again, it's all about priorities, where you are. Paul said something very important. If you have a 3-month job you got to do, you settle down with one broad, you focus. And then after you've accomplished that goal, like Afi said, then you could pick up right where you started. So it's all about who you are and what you want. And when you identify who you want to be and you act on it, then you start to accommodate and furnish your life around the things that you want. You are the vessel. You're the house, right? So you have to furnish your life with the things that you want and to become with your goals.
Good. Shout out to Command Your Confidence.
What's up, buddy?
Shout out to Forge Report. He said, "What's good, fellas?" Well said. Chad and Simp are two faces of the same coin. I'm gonna highlight your question, JB. Real for the next thing. I'm gonna say just simply, I feel like you need to be when you get to a point where you can have sex on demand. So that means that if you know you can go home and go on Tinder on Friday, you for sure getting some on Sunday. When you can start doing that whenever you feel like it.
Yes.
That's the first one. So there's really no number because some people master shit quicker. Like I was a natural. I knew this female nature game and shit. It took me to I learned it by 16. You know what I'm saying? And that's just because of my upbringing and then just me recognizing patterns fast.
Yeah.
So being able to get cheeks on demand. Two, if you're a man who has accomplished all your sexual desires, not number wise, but guys are into different shit. So like if you have 100 bodies and you never had a threesome, you're gonna want that threesome the whole time because you ain't never had it. So when you can get cheeks on demand, when you had all your sexual desires filled, realistic, not like having sex with movie stars and shit. Like leave that shit alone. And the third one, when you've had at least 3 failed relationships, because you got to feel heartbreak and disappointment. But the thing is, if it happens only one time, you think it's either it's her fault or bad timing. And then if it happens a second time, you'll think it's a coincidence when you go over the things. Usually, like especially if a girl breaks up with you, you're doing the stuff. You're doing the stuff. You just wanna, since you've invested your heart and most of the time, money, tangible items and shit, you feel like it don't really matter because you did stuff already and she should appreciate it. But realistically, you got to maintain that. That's why I be trying to tell you cats, you want girlfriends and stuff. That's a job. Girlfriend is more than just sex in-house and someone to talk to at fucking nights. More than that. It's a job. She's going to have attitude. She's going to be on her period.
Full time.
You feel what I'm saying? She's going to be jealous. She's going to be all types of shit. It's a job, bro. So, boom, boom, boom. All your sexual fantasies fulfilled. All your sexual fantasies fulfilled. Being able to have sex on demand and at least 3 third heartbreaks. Because zip back on the third. Because the third heartbreak is going to come full circle. Like, okay, I know, I see every time these things happen, these happen. So Am I going to check my ego and say I need to make adjustments? Or is my ego going to check me and am I going to continuously make the same mistakes?
Facts.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's good.
Absolutely.
That's what
Yeah,
I
that's a good list, man.
That's just the three. So
That's it.
JB says, is the mindset consistently transition? I'm gonna just take this because my answer is no. I don't think that it is because I know people that stuck.
Mm. Yeah. Well, you got to challenge things, right? That's the thing. Like, so we're in this world now where people don't generally like accountability and they don't want to feel uncomfortable. You know, they can't embrace discomfort. You know, and I came from a world in the military where we learned how to thrive on discomfort. A lot of people growing up in masculine environments learned how to thrive on discomfort. They had hard labor jobs or they trained, you know, training is good. It's back to that thing, martial arts. Some dudes grew up in a boxing gym or whatever, you know? And so getting punched in the face and having somebody, you know, beat you up in the ring and then having to go back to the drawing board to get better, right? That competition, or maybe on the football field or whatever it is, you know, that's thriving in discomfort, right? You get uncomfortable, you know, you're not achieving what you want, you're getting beat, and then you go, okay, like I'm gonna thrive in this now. I'm not comfortable because I need to improve on something. I need to fix something, change something. So it's not all about feel good stuff like all the self-help, the nonsense parts of the self-help world is just feel good, feel great all the time. Well, you're not fixing anything if you feel great all the time. Changing yourself, and it requires challenging yourself. Challenging yourself means discomfort. It means you're going to have to deal with uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable situations, all that stuff in order to fix something. And so, I mean, I know it's kind of, you know, related as far as, you know, what Afi was saying there, I think, is that people just get stuck. But yeah, they get stuck because they're not challenging themselves and stepping outside of their comfort zone in order to get better with something, right?
That was awesome. You know, you said something earlier too that kind of ties into what Afi says. The mindset is having a certain mindset. If you're not it's not innate for you, is also a job. So sometimes you have to decide where you're gonna point or use all your resources and energy towards. Your mindset is very important because if you have a sound mindset, it's going to dictate everything around your world. Discipline. And you said comfort levels. A lot of people in this space in particular, you have a lot of channels that have a lot of followers and subscribers. And it's unfortunate because sometimes the subscribership is a reflection of the people that are hosting the show. And sometimes you have people that are kind of like selling a lie because they understand the psyche of today's man, which is weak. They don't want to hear the truth. They're scared to call in. They're intimidated by somebody who has a physical stature that doesn't look like them. Right now, it's easier to ingest the truth from people who are not intimidating, who are smiling, who are just nice. But when a Paul or myself or even Afi walk in a room, we're fine. People tend to get their guards up, and that is a reflection of weakness in itself. So you have the media, feminism, all that shit, and a lot of people, because they lack integrity, they lack a backbone, they lack an identity, they are gravitating to people who are kind of steering them the wrong way because they're selling them a dream, and they refuse to listen to people who really know what it is, because either we chose to or we had to strive through adversity. And that's the big difference. Not to say that nobody's going through shit, but what I'm saying is what Paul, you know, what we used to go through, we're all in our 40s, I believe, what we used to go through, we had to deal with it, right? But these guys, they can't handle what half of the things that we dealt with. And that we know that is going to be detrimental to their growth. Too many people have a voice. Too many people have power. Too many people have influence. It's like the blind leading the blind. And what happens is when we're in this space, it appears that we're hating, or we don't know. Things are different now. You guys are old. Yes, things have changed, but people are trying to redefine what a man is. A man is a man. So now they're trying to customize a man so a man can fit in this new society where in the beginning, man was the ones who built the society. So I think a lot of men checked out. A lot of men got lazy, and I think shows like yours, Paul, a very small few people who really understand the foundation of masculinity and understand what it comes with it are the ones that are gonna save everybody after that hype and all that shit falls on the wayside, bro. Like the mortgage industry, it's like a bubble. Everything is hot right now.
Oh yeah,
it's like popular, but it's all bubble gum. There's no substance.
It's all bullshit. Yeah, the most popular shit right now is weak. It's two things. It's sensationalism, right? It's all kinds of like Jerry Springer style sensationalism.
Facts.
Like, or it's
love and hip hop, yeah.
or it's fluff, especially fluffing women.
Fluff.
Most popular dating relationship channels, like we're talking, tons and tons of subscribers and stuff, are dudes who just fluff women all day. Like, you know what I mean? They get on there and like 7 reasons that you don't need to put up with that girl. And then it's like, it's because you're amazing and you don't need to put up with that girl. And then that's the whole thing. That's a 10-minute video. And people are like, yeah, I feel so good. I don't need to put up with that. And then dudes are like, yeah, girl, you don't need to put up with that. I'm a cool guy. I'm nice. Come over here because you won't have to put up with that with me. Oh, yeah. And then they pat each other in the back. They fluff each other. And then, they got all these subs, right? And they got all this interest, right? But nobody gets any damn better. No, the guys aren't learning how to communicate with women better or game women better or make them feel good, get their emotions where they want, keep them in frame, all the things that are good for them and good for the guy. The woman doesn't know how to self-reflect, figure out what she wants out of a man in a relationship. Like, it's like,
nobody changes. Not leading. Right.
Nobody changes. They just do the same and feel good about it. Or it's blood sport, oh, damn, the Instagram hoe just got told what's up or whatever. Or, like, okay, sweet. Bullshit. Thousands and thousands of subs, but are we helping anybody? Is anybody fixing anything? And you know what? All power to them. I don't care what other people do. I'm not a YouTuber, man. You know what I am? A mental fitness and conditioning expert, relationship dating expert. And I deliver that stuff through clients that actually want to do things.
Mentorship.
That's it. I got you. Right? The YouTube channel is just the free content and the stuff that gets the stuff out there, but I'm not like, oh man, I need to get a million subs.
Right.
You know what I mean? There'd be other things I'd be paying attention to, and I'd lose my message if I did that. So if I'm slowly chugging along with 10,000, 15,000 subs,
it's perfect.
Slowly chugging, cool, man. Maybe I get to 500,000 in 5 years or something. That's fine. There'll be channels that'll grow to 250, 500 in a year and a half, but they got to do blood sport, they got to entertain, or they got to fluff. And all those things are going to help anybody. It's just not my message. They can do that. That's fine. They fill that role. That's cool, but that's just not who I am,
Agreed.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of that, the Forge Report Project, Coach Justin, shout out to you. He says, why do men veer away from the help they need? Now, a quick thing. Now, maybe you can correct me, Coach Justin, if I'm wrong, but I recall us being on Clubhouse together, and you telling the story something like, basically you were willing to give a guy a free consultation and he didn't show up. Something equivalent to.
Oh yeah. 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 So happened a lot in the beginning.
Why do men veer away from getting the help they need? I'm gonna say because they don't want to put the work in, and it's the same type of thing that women do. How like certain women always have an issue, they always have a problem. The pleasure is in the problem. You see what I'm saying? The pleasure is in the problem. The pleasure is saying, "Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad," and then you get to say, "Oh, it's gonna be okay. Oh, it's not that bad. We all go through it too," and that's the pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
If you solve the problem, then the pleasure has a solution, and then you can't nothing to complain about. So that's my answer.
Yo, you said something important too that I kind of tied into what Paul said.
I know Paul said he was building a real estate team. I'm in the mortgage industry too. But you said something important, that the pleasure is in the problem. It's similar to the answer is in the no.
Really good.
Right. Yeah. The answer is in the no. If you're in sales, a lot of people who don't want to thrive in adversity or are not built from or cut from that cloth, the first no, they get deterred. They lose their mojo because of that. But a seasoned person who understands, the more no's you are, the closer you are, the more no's you have, the closer you are to a yes. The answer is in the no, because now with the no comes the objections. A lot of men don't think they have problems. I'm sure you guys can relate, since you guys do have channels. You guys can put a title of a video about a woman, something that's very basic, and it'll get a ton of views. Yeah. But the shit that they need to hear, like the information that they need, will get very minimal views because they don't see the value in themselves. They see value in getting a woman and putting value in a woman. So that is like a conquest for them. But guys like us who understand that we are indeed the prize, if we do the work, we identify ourselves, we seek the help that we need, we invest in ourselves. This is how we become masculine. This is how we become a leader in our community, your legacy or whatever. A lot of guys are looking for cheat codes and answers and entertainment to put a Band-Aid on the real problems that they are not willing to face. And again, more power to everybody who's entertaining them. We need that. But there's another sector here. And like you said, maybe you'll get to 15,000 subs. But remember, Paul, you are a reflection of your subscribership. Mm-hmm. If you have 15,000 subs, that means there's only about 15,000 real dudes. Yeah. If somebody's got 200,000, that means there's 200,000 geeks and lost people that don't want the help. This is what I'm saying. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying that's what it is.
No, it's true.
Let me touch that real quick. And Coach Justin, if you want to come drop some gems, let me know in the chat. I'll link you. This is, and you said that, and this is very imperative. Like, for instance, like, I do different streams. I know what the fuck I'm doing. I know how to clickbait. The title of this is Building Better Men. I wanted to talk to the real cats today. You see what I'm saying? I could have threw women in there and had more people in here. It would have changed the whole vibe, though. You know what I'm saying? I could have said how to become more attractive to women, which is the same thing. But I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. Then, yep.
I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I know everything. I'm a genius. I keep telling y'all. So because I want to have this type of conversation. I don't want to have no entertaining conversation that kind of gears to the women. It's about us now.
Right.
Facts.
Yep. Well, I want to circle back to probably you guys need to put some fires in the chats. And if you watch this later, put fires in the comments. All right. To Afi's, I'm going to steal this quote and then credit Afi every time I use it. The pleasure is in the problem. God, I love that. That's so good.
And I restart it. I never said it before, Paul.
Ghost game.
Damn. Right there. History being made right now.
You thought it was one of my catchphrases. No, I just premiered that just now.
It's your catchphrase now.
That's a t-shirt. Let's go.
Dude, that is a t-shirt. That is so good, though. Let me, from a neurological perspective, I'll break it down real fast. So I had, when I was trying, in my quest of understanding things more, right, in human behavior and relationship behavior, I was looking at people who get in toxic relationships or people who have that one-itis where they have an unhealthy attachment to somebody who does not return the favor of having any attachment towards them, right? Guys obsessed with that girl they broke up with, things like that. And I was looking at that and I talked to an addiction expert, a friend of mine. I know he's a PhD in sociology, and he was talking about gambling addiction. And how he explained gambling addiction was this. He said, because addictions are fueling neurochemicals. Your neurochemicals like your dopamine, your oxytocin, vasopressin, serotonin, like all that stuff gets fueled and gets anchored to a certain behavior, whether it's a substance or anything like that. But what's unique about gambling, there's no substance involved, right? It's not like, cocaine or something like that. It's a behavior. And so they get addicted to gambling because what they're actually addicted to isn't the win. It's getting out of the loss. All right. And so these guys who are addicted to gambling, they get themselves in hock, they get themselves in the hole. They're down 10, 20, 50 grand. They're about to lose their house or car. And it's all this anxiety they have, you know what I mean, when they're trying to overcome this problem. And then they start pulling themselves out of this hole. And then they get back to normal or even get a few wins, get a little bit up. And they're like, oh, wow, whew, relief. Flood of emotions and good neurochemicals for getting themselves out. And then what happens? Right back in the hole, back to 10, 20, 50 grand in debt again. That's what the gambling addiction is. People who are professional gamblers and who win walk away with money. You never hear about that as being a problem, right? Because they're calculated. They know how to play the odds. They win money. They know when to get out, all that stuff. It's like a whole profession for them. Gambling, people who are addicted to gambling are always losing their ass. Why is that? Because they're addicted to being in the loss. Pleasure is in the problem, right? It's trying to be in that problem, then dig yourself out of the problem. Guys who keep going through the same toxic women who do the same toxic patterns and screw their life up in the same way all the time, their pleasure's in that problem. It's getting the neurochemicals, the roller coaster of what's she gonna do next. And I can't believe that bitch said that. And oh my God, we just had crazy makeup sex. And oh no, is she cheating on me? Like all that stuff is a flood of neurochemicals. And each time they get themselves out of the hole with that chick, you know, have that makeup, have that thing, it's relief. And then right back down in it. Some people do this with their careers. They do this with money, being in debt, you know, all different kinds of things. And then they get attention for it on top of it, which is what Afi was alluding to. It's like, oh, let me emote and talk about my problems and drink about it, talk about my chick every day that's treating me like crap, you know, and that all is positive fuel too. And so guys get addicted to the problem instead of getting addicted to the solutions, you know.
Facts.
Yeah.
Zeno has a good comment. He says, it's good to listen to women too. It's good to listen to your mom. She's an OG. Yeah, my mom is a finesse queen, though. You gotta listen. You can listen to women, but listen to women with earplugs. You see what I'm saying? You know, when you have earplugs on, you can kind of tell, even if they're noise cancellation, you can still kind of tell what's going on around. So that's how you need to listen to it. It's like it's like the woman's words or a flower, and you pick the motherfucking thorns off of the flowers.
Hold on.
Where does he get it from? Hold on, let me say that again. It's like the woman's word or a flower, and you gotta take the thorns off.
Facts.
That's another t-shirt.
Super chat. Say it again. You ain't never heard and thought of.
And let me jump on that. So basically, they're a rose, right? Let's say a rose. Your mother's your rose, and she's got thorns. Each thorn is something that is associated with a woman, a characteristic of a woman. Afi and I talk about this all the time. Men have to focus on what they are versus who they are. For instance, Vincenzo said, listen to your mother, listen to women. Absolutely, but they're all women, right? They're all women. Now, our mothers, Afi had a finesse. I believe my mother was a finesse queen too, but she did not portray that to me. However, in my manhood and knowing the DNA and the wiring of all women, it makes sense. I'm like, please, you were doing your thing. Now, it is important to listen to women because you can learn a lot from a woman, right? And when you listen to a woman, you give a woman the opportunity to speak. That should make her feel good, to take her into consideration, because you are confident enough to know that listening to her is not going to sway you from your final decision for your own goals. But at the end of the day, you can learn from a lot of people. You can learn from men. You can learn from the MGTOW, the black pill. You can learn from everybody. It's all about how you process it and how you apply it to your ideologies and your goals in your life.
Oh, yeah. Well, empathy. So a lot of my, even in game and everything, boils down to empathy. All right. So like pickup artist stuff is, you know, trying to do, I say like a lot of what's out there for pickup artist things, right?
Right.
They're trying to like figure out what behaviors and formulas are going to get them the highest probability of results. And they're really just sort of, you know, really putting on a show or acting. And they're not necessarily, they're more focused on their own behaviors and what they're doing than the person they're actually interacting with. Right.
Right.
But here's the thing. This is going to roll into women and listening to women and even taking female advice. there's what people lack because of their own insecurities, and this is why being more alpha and being more secure with yourself is going to help you in this department. They lack the empathy. Now, understand empathy isn't a weak characteristic. I mean, if you're strategizing in war, you need to know what the enemy is going to do, how they think, what their perceptions are, what their faults are, their strengths, weaknesses. That's empathy. Being able to put yourself in that other person's shoes, understand where they're coming from, what they're experiencing, and then interpret that and take that, use that as the benchmark or measure for interpreting whatever they're telling you. That's how you can really, you really make good connections with people, whether you're trying to game them right into, a seductive scenario, or whether you're just listening to female advice. Female advice is fine. You just have to understand, as they say, the animal where you're dealing with. If I'm listening to advice from any of you guys or anybody, there's a certain amount of empathy I have. I'm understanding, where's this guy also coming from, right? And so with a woman, she's coming from perspective. Now, her perspective may serve her more than you, maybe. Of course. Right? It's going to be solipsistic to that perspective, meaning a little bit not selfish necessarily, but she's looking at through her own lens. You have to put it like that. Sure. So like when my mom gives me advice, for example, on certain relationship things, right? My mom, I love my mom, but she is a pile of bad decisions in relationships now until she's 74. So I know the animal I'm dealing with. I understand that the advice she's given me is also filtered through her female mind, which is good and bad at the same time. It's just neutral, right? But also her set of experiences, and some of those things she might say might be defense mechanisms for her own behavior, right? Might be things that are related to her baggage, her things. When some dude gets on the internet and says a bunch of stuff, and he's passionately defeatist and black-pilled about women, what's that guy's perspective, right? Is this guy out there having good relationships with women? Probably. Does he seem like somebody who's, having productive, good times with women, or has he been having a whole lot of bad times and now he's here on the internet to talk about it? You see, we gotta figure out what those perceptions are. So yeah, women are good to get that insight. I learn a lot from just listening to women talk in general, watching their behavior, interacting with them, and even hearing what they have to say. But with anybody, you always filter out any advice, including I want guys to do that with anything I say. You know what I mean? Think about what perspective I might be coming from for delivering that. And is what I'm saying going to help you? Is it going to apply to you or maybe not? I don't know. Question everything, right? So
I like what you said, because you are comfortable with somebody questioning you. That is also an attribute of a man. Embracing challenge, embracing adversity, not being on a high horse saying that what you know is best. What you know is best for you. And what I like that you do, Paul, is that you encourage people to think for themselves. We can the three of us can provide some advice for the people that are in the chat. Make sure I get the likes up, but it may not necessarily work for you. There's a big blanket statement right now, a blanket rhetoric or narrative in our space that everything that we say is going to work for every single person. And that is incorrect, because you said something earlier that people are trying to attain goals that are not specifically designed for them. If you get into a personal trainer, you go on a TRT, you doing something, you need panels, you need an assessment. Right. A lot of guys are allowing people to assess them versus kind of like not having an assessment of yourself to compare notes to the doctor. When I go to the doctor, I already have my shit locked up so I could ask him questions. So the doctor knows that I've did my due diligence and I kind of understand where I want to go and where I am at the moment. So very important what you said too, as far as bad decisions. You got to remember the narrative. If you were raised by a single mom, and for the most part, women by nature, they're survivalists. They're going to provide you guidance that is going to be skewed to benefit the woman, because the only time women stick together is when they want to tear down a dude. For the most part, women don't like each other because they know their true nature. This is why you meet a lot of brothers say, I don't really like girls. I have a lot of guy friends. That's another conversation. But number two, boys and men were raised to make sure that whatever provisioning we do is in favor of the woman and the kids, no matter what your expense is. So now that we've kind of turning this narrative around as far as being alpha, being masculine, the focus is continuing to be back on us. And this is why feminists and a lot of women have a problem with it, because now we're taking the energy that we're expending on them and putting it back into ourselves. The problem is women don't have the vision and the foresight to see that what we're doing will benefit them in the long run. The only thing worse than being blind is to have sight without vision. And most women don't have any vision. So now guys are looking at women for leadership and vision. And this is why we're circling the drain. Because men don't want to embrace the fact that they can actually make the changes that they want to see as long as they do the work.
Hey, real quick, this message is for you, Paul. My man, Coach Justin, my brother emailed you, and he's gonna follow you on Instagram. The reason why I'm telling you is because we do plenty shows with him, and
that'll be a good mix.
You guys gonna be close friends. I'm guaranteeing this. He's a badass white dude in New York. He got blue eyes, bald head, and he ride bikes and shit.
That's cool.
Relationship, and you guys will be friends.
Yeah, definitely. We've done a lot of shows with him, man, and he's definitely deep. And the way that you are deep too, it's crazy. That's like I'm meeting somebody, watching somebody, watching me, they're watching me, I'm watching them. You get to see that it's more than meets the eye, like a goddamn transformer. You see, a lot of people are judged. And again, this is the reason why people want sugar in their syrup, in their medicine. Right now, what we're doing is we're preparing you guys and letting you know that the world is not what you see it. The world is not social media. There is another world, the real world that we live in, that if you don't build a foundation for yourself and have those 3 attributes that Paul mentioned, the attributes that Afi mentioned, some of the things that I said, intact, you will always jump from content creator to content creator looking for an answer that's going to fit you. But until you know who you are, that's what's going to determine who you're going to be listening to. If you listen to everybody, you don't have a sense of self. But if you listen to a core amount of people that are in line with what you're doing, then you know yourself.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that's an interesting observation, man. Like, actually, that's something a friend of mine. He's my business coach too. Rich Cooper over at Entrepreneurs and Cars.
Yeah, for sure, I follow him.
Yeah. So he's been on a kick lately because of, which is a good one. Something that frustrates him is he calls them red pill masturbators. It's like these dudes who just like go from they're just consuming content all over the place and emoting and blah, just doing all this, but not doing any actual action. Right. If you're doing a lot of action, you're going to consume content because you want to reason things out. That's a good thing, but you're going to be more selective on what you're consuming. Exactly. You know what I mean? You're just not going to be, you don't have time to watch 8 hours of garbage every day, where some good stuff in there. Like, right. If your business is not, trying to decipher this men's health space or something like that, if your business is like mortgages or doing something else, then you're going to focus on your business, focus on your women, focus on, your health, other things. And you only have so much time to consume, and then you're going to consume the good shit that you gravitate towards and then action things in your life. I think this is a really good point. You alluded to that. And I think everyone listening, listen to the stuff, but listen to the stuff that makes sense. That's going to give you actionable things in deep assessments and good advice, not stuff that's just garbage. It makes sense for you. A lot of garbage. There's a lot of garbage out there. Yeah.
I will say, and shout out to JW, just before I even read your comment, I got the best, most intelligent chat room. I swear that all the players is in my chat because a lot of times y'all ask questions just to teach the listeners because y'all already know the stuff. Yeah. Y'all literally can answer y'all questions. Let me see what you said. Different audiences will have certain kind of content they resonate with. I tend to resonate with Afi's message because it's more in depth and resolution solutions. Everything is in black and white. Yeah, because y'all be wanting to talk about shit forever, like it's the never ending story. Okay, now they ain't shit. Okay, what we go? Okay, how do you counter that? Or they're the best. Okay, how do you counter that? Like, where's the solution? It's like you're supposed to be looking at this stuff like Street Fighter 2 instruction manual, and you're supposed to be looking at the controls and shit. Okay, up, down, button. You're supposed to find the solution of how to do the actions that you desire. Y'all see how I did the Hadouken?
Absolutely. I saw that move. Hadouken. Yo, so hold up though. So like I said earlier, Fee, shout out to the chat room, our support, Afi supporters. You said that they're one of the most intelligent people. Why? Because they are a reflection of you. because this is what they want. And let me be clear on something. The shit that we're talking about, the fluff, the entertainment, that's cool, bro. I mean, it's like cartoons, right? Like I still watch Family Guy. I mean, that's like my way of kind of like disconnecting and not thinking about shit. That's cool, but it's always a balance. If like to Rich Cooper, if he's saying that red pill masturbators, that means that it's equivalent to watching Pornhub. You're not doing anything, and it's only detrimental to you. You watch and listen to all types of content, and now how do you? It's kind of like you just sparring in the gym, and you're not actually fighting anybody. You shadow boxing, like Steve the Dean said. Shout out to Steve the Dean. So at the end of the day, if you do not put action behind your manifestation, like Paul was alluding to earlier, having substance, resonating, identifying what's going to resonate best for you, you're going to be chasing your tail. And again, you got to understand, I said this about Afi and a lot of other people. There are a lot of shackles on you guys, the guys that coach, content creators, because part of you realizes that your audience helped build you up, and this is what kind of keeps your lights on, etc. But in order to evolve, we're still watching the same dumb shit in 2 years. That means we haven't grown. We're still on the JV team instead of going into the varsity. We got left back in school. So at the end of the day, what we're saying is try to diversify what you are consuming. Listen to a Paul, listen to an Afi. Disconnect from the shit that you are accustomed to listening to and see. It's kind of like traveling. When you get out of the States and you see how the other half is living, you're like, damn, I didn't know. It's the same thing with content and whatever you consume, balance, foods, all that shit that you do. Make sure you try to switch it around like muscle memory. You working out, you change a routine so that way you can grow. It's all about the mindset, bro, and identifying who you are, who you want to be, and then follow that path.
To be honest, I even thought about dumbing my shit down, and I have on certain videos, but then it'd be like I can't do it back to back.
I know.
If I say some dumb shit, I got to come back with some real shit. I can't just
talk about that all the time, dude.
I try. It just ain't me. I be like, man, that shit was hella weird. right after it come out my mouth, like, whack. Because we some old cats, bro. We can't. People don't be thinking when you reach a certain age, you got for the most part a certain level of integrity. Like I just can't say any old thing just to get some subscribers or money and shit. Because I'm too old and deep in my principles that it's just like I cannot gas like that. I cannot act like I'm a whole nother person just to like be popular and shit. Can't do it.
So let me ask you this, Paul. And let me say this. I know you had a theory, and I heard you say this. I'm paraphrasing. Something about a society is built kind of like a domesticated society for animals, like chimps. Chimps innately, right? Or, you know what I mean? We're animals. You know what I mean? In the jungle, doing what they got to do to survive. But there was a shift in society that kind of customized their animalistic innate things and made them domesticated. So now they got to compete in a domesticated society where it's not a domesticated, it's a goddamn jungle. So can you elaborate on that? Because I think that was very interesting.
Yeah. So I was actually talking about more or less evolutionary shift between chimpanzees to bonobos, right? And so bonobos were a society. We're both, for starters, as human beings, we're not actually chimpanzees or bonobos, right? We're our own version of a primate, okay, with a more developed brain, all that stuff. However, we can look at our evolutionary past at like some of these primates as examples of certain things. And bonobos and chimpanzees are only a few percentage points difference in our genetics, right? And they're about equal to that. So what's the difference? Well, bonobos evolved in a very enclosed society. I think out in the Congo, maybe it was, but it was a very enclosed environment, and that was devoid of predators and devoid of competition. So that a lot of the competition and the predators were taken out of the equation, whereas chimpanzees had to function and operate with predators, with opposing chimpanzee tribes that might attack them or cause war against them, and scarcity of resources too, depending on where they were at. And so when in a chimpanzee societies were patriarchal, and the male chimpanzees use strength, coercion, and violence oftentimes to get things done, right? And so in that society or environment, that's what they had available to use because it was quicker, more efficient, and that's what you had to do in order to protect, from predators, protect from opposing tribes, that sort of thing. Well, we lost the need for physical violence in bonobo societies to solve problems with lack of, predators, with a lack of danger and stuff, and an abundance of resources, so that there was less competition for resources. And so fighting and physical dominance was less needed. So what that caused was a society where women became the in charge, of that society. So it became a matriarchal society without the need, to use violence or that sort of thing. And so that's where sex and also coercion and deception, not coercion, but manipulation and deception amongst their little social circles, that's became the solution to problems, whereas violence would be the solution to problems before, right? And so now females became the selectors, and males became less valued, in a sense, more devalued, right, in that society. And that is what we're facing now. In most of civilized society, the dangers have been removed. I mean, we're in a society where you could have fat homeless people. Think about that for a minute, right? I mean, we got fat homeless people. How do you have fat homeless people, right? I'm not saying nobody ever starves to death in America, but generally speaking, we have so much abundance that even the poorest of the poor have more stuff than the poorest of the poor 100 years ago.
Facts.
And so we are not in the situation where we're having the ability. So even with like technology, like war, we're not getting into the physical melees that we got into in World War I, World War II, hand-to-hand combat. You know what I mean? Right. Close combat. Trench warfare. We're using drones. We're using heavy weaponry. We're using fighting at distances. That even the violence we're doing in war is technology related, and we've seen the physical capability of the soldier decline. And we've seen even in the military a push towards more feminized values increase. And in fact, male or masculine values have been removed or devalued. I'll use a quick example. There are sharp training, which is basically sexual harassment stuff. Excessive masculinity was one of the warning signs for a potential sexual assault or rapist or something like that. That was one of the warning signs. It's in the slide, a TRADOC approved DOD slide, excessive masculinity. That is what I'm talking about. So now masculinity is being devalued because we no longer have that K-selected need, if you're looking at gene theory, to protect ourselves in the same way we used to. And so now men are becoming weaker and all those things. But here's the trick, though. And this is the point I was making on that show with Sterling, that whenever he airs it, that you guys were listening to. Bonobos still, who do they select to mate with for their desires and genetic purposes? The most alpha dominant men in that society. Even though females are running it, they're still selecting for mating the most alpha dominant. And you know what? They're doing it more so than with chimpanzees, the patriarchal chimpanzees. That was what was interesting, because these researchers went into it going, well, researchers tend to be a little more liberal-minded, tend to be more indoctrinated with some feminism and stuff. So they figured, we're going to observe these bonobos, and they're going to be more fair, and more men will have more access to mating and women, and so on and so forth. And they found out it was actually the opposite, that the women consolidated it to the top most dominant alpha men even more so, because in the patriarchal society, those chimps could fight it out and mate protect, you see? And so the ability to actually fight it out and mate protect amongst each other spread out the mating a little bit more. So they went for the most dominant men, but you know what? If one chick was being mate protected and could use a little violence to prevent other chimps from wanting to fight him, be with his girl, and then okay, maybe it's not worth the juice ain't worth the squeeze, even if the alpha male could, like, you know what I mean, get it. And so he goes to another girl. And so what you had was a little bit more of a spread distribution, whereas statistically way more significant, And without that aspect of violence, I'm not saying we need to go to a violent society. I'm just making an observation of where we're at. But without that there, women chose the alpha guy more, not less. And we see that now. I mean, we see how drastically women will have sex and quick and easy sex with a guy they perceive as alpha. And there's a large percentage of men in society that don't even show up on a girl's radar. They are just ignored.
Facts.
And so that's where we're at. So as far as applications and solutions to this, it just shows to be the more dominant force. And it's never been easier than before in society to show up and be a dominant alpha male. And when I say dominance, I don't mean like, again, the most jacked looking Hulk out there. I mean social dominance, right? I mean having those social skills, having, influential persuasion skills, because dominance is not just physical capability anymore either, right? Because we remove that. So it's the most influential as well. You can talk a good game. You're dominating a whole circle of a room full of people, right? That's going to give you status. That's going to give you attraction to women. It signals that you're good high genetic value. Right. And so men working on themselves and being that alpha male, that never before has that been easier to do in comparison to everybody else out there who's not doing the work. And never before has there been more chances for women to select you if you're considered that guy for mating. Facts. So, yeah, it's like shooting a fish in a barrel for women if you're considered an alpha guy. Really is. Gotcha. Yep.
You're muted, buddy.
Real quick, shout out to Auntie. Good to see you, my brother. Y'all subscribe to him.
Peace, Aunt.
Y'all subscribe to Viking too. Y'all make sure y'all creative excellence. You came late. You missed some good bars over here, bro.
What's up, Viking?
If a men love competition, why they worried about competing with women? That's a whole nother topic. Let me get this JW question real quick. He said, how do you recognize when it's more beneficial to optimize a strength you have to rather than attacking a weakness from the ground up? What are the guys' experiences in your lives?
Good question.
I got a chapter in my book called Defeating Your Weaknesses with Strengths. It's called The Keys to Your Future Self. It's the white book. It's a whole chapter on it.
I don't have it up there. Yeah, I got the 2 new ones up. I don't have the old. Yeah, somewhere.
There's your answer.
It's a white one. I'm doing this in Dubai on the cover.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
What y'all got to say about that?
Paul, what do you got to say, buddy?
Well, I mean, I think that there's value in doubling, triple down on your strengths. All right. And so, like, example, I'm not going to be, the best singer in the world, the best guitar player, the best, because these are things I don't really do. The best basketball player, the best golfer. You see a lot of weak men out there. I say weak, maybe weak or just weaker men, trying to be the best at everything and getting frustrated when they're not, right? This is the guy who's throwing his golf club on a golf course. You know what I mean? Where it's like, what, are you a professional golfer? Are you playing in are you going to, whatever the thing that was just on TV over the weekend? You know what I mean? Are you competing to make $1 million for, or $1 million online? PGA, thank you. It had mind blank. It's like, no, you just had a golf outing, throwing your club like an idiot at a business thing when your strength is sales or, production or whatever you're into, or your strength is something, you know what I mean? And so there's too many guys trying to be everything to everybody, and they're insecure about these things that they're weak on. I get on the golf course. I'll try my best, have some fun. And I'm going to suck, and it's fine. I'm not a golfer. I never golf. Who cares, right? I'm not getting mad about it, right? And so, but what I do is I double, triple down on strengths that I have that are the impact that I can have in the world, right? Now, when do we address a weakness? When those weaknesses are hindering you from using your strengths to impact the world and achieve your goals and get what you want. So let's say you have strengths with communicating with women, gaming women a little bit, and you're in whatever, but your wardrobe needs to update. Right? I mean, this is a dumb example probably, but or your physical health needs to improve, right? Your SMV needs to improve, but your game's actually halfway good. So what do? Well, to improve the quality of women in your life, it's either opportunity, SMV, or game. Your game's pretty good. There's some opportunity where you're at. Maybe the weakness you have right now, which is your physical health, maybe a need to get some shoe game, need to get some belts that match your accessories, some of these things, right? Maybe these need to be just kind of improved on or up a little bit because it's hindering you from getting your goals and utilizing your strengths, right? And so that's when, I would address, there's the book, right? I would address a weakness is when it's hindering you from using the strengths to get what you want. But you can't be strong in everything. This is where identity comes in, circling back to what we talked about. You got to figure out who you are and what your strengths are and what it is you want to do, what it is you want to do with that stuff, right? I hire out, I need to get better at technology because it's a weakness that's hindering my strengths right now, but only to a point because I hire out some of it too. And so I don't have to do something that is not my strength, which is being a tech person. You get what I'm saying? And so that's the answer. So I hire things out so I can double down on my strength, which is research, development, delivering things here. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yo, and the reason why you do that is because of your awareness, your self-awareness. Yeah. See, there are people that are workers that are in the trenches, and there are people that are able to delegate. People that are good at delegating understand their strengths and weaknesses and have the ability to identify someone else's strength. When you have that knack and that power, this is how you can lead a woman. This is how you could potentially lead a family, because you are now delegating based on their strengths and weaknesses, based on your strengths and weaknesses, as you continue to try to improve yourself as well. You also said something very important too, in related to what Jonathan W. said. Jonathan said, how do you recognize when it's more beneficial to optimize a strength rather than a weakness? The problem is you guys are too focused on your weaknesses based on what someone else told you. A content creator told you. Just like Paul said, there are people that are under 5'6" that are killing the game with girls, finances, etc. But because a statistic told you something, or a popular YouTube channel said you got to be X, Y, and Z, now you too focused on that versus identifying what you are strong at. So remember, when you disconnect, you get out of the indoctrination, you start to realize what you're good at. Stop focusing on what other people have and focus on what you have, embellish on that, and then work on the things that you're deficient in. Don't worry about subscribers. Don't worry about everything that they have. Focus on what you have, build on that, and that way you can be the best version of yourself. Again, you cannot watch people and do something at the same time. You have to focus on yourself so that way people can start watching you. And based on that feedback, then you start to create your own identity, your own clout, your own subscribership, etc. That's how you do it, bro. You focus on what you're good at, and then you focus on what you're not as good at and work your way up.
Good. I'm gonna say this, and then let's say our last words just real quick. Figure out what's important to you. Don't let other motherfuckers in the narrative and propaganda tell you the shit that you need to be focused on. You feel what I'm saying? Just every little thing. Just gotcha. Whether it's trends, whether it's like you guys focus on the wrong shit. When you know what's important, you embrace that. Don't be scared to embrace it, because what's gonna happen is see certain things that you want to embrace. It may not be the popular thing, and then you don't want to do it, right? But you're not really satisfying that person who you're trying to satisfy. Satisfy yourself, become successful at it, and them people are gonna be running to you.
Facts. Mic drop.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to all my channels, the About section. Follow me on Instagram at King Genius Afi, and cop all of the books. Oh, real quick too. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start advertising it on Monday, because I just don't have if y'all players don't know, no more Zoom for Afi Kingdom. I'm my ass back at work now, so I'm trying to figure out this time thing, because I just start back work on Monday and I ain't clocked in the fucking 15 months. So I'm trying to figure this shit out, and my whole routine. I gotta redo it. So this is what I'm gonna do, and y'all. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let y'all be a part of something. I'm gonna do a real player. So what I have, I told y'all that I have the book Tales from Her Desires coming out. This is the best game you ever seen in your life, and it's unpacked in the way AV seen it. It's unpacked in a way that you don't even know it's unpacked. So what I'm gonna do is this: y'all drop me. I ain't decided yet. We gonna start with 50. Put it like this: we gonna start with 50. The first 5 people is $50. Then it's gonna be 100. So what's gonna happen is I'm going to teach this course and I'm gonna tape it. So y'all gonna be a part of the taping, right? Just listening. Y'all can't talk. Just only me. We'll do a Q&A after it's over, but I'm gonna teach my course and y'all gonna be a part of it and hear the shit live. Then after that, y'all done heard it, and then the course gonna go for sale. We gonna
Part
do
of history.
boss like.
That's dope.
That's pretty cool. That'll be interesting.
Go ahead,
Man.
Paul. Last words.
Yeah, last words, man. Just appreciate you guys listening, asking questions, all that good stuff. Support Afi, support Alpha Villains. My channel's at Apex Mindset. If you're not subscribed to that, go over there. You got all kinds of content to peruse through and listen to and figures, apply some things to your life. ApexMindset.net is where you can book my time if you need a problem that we could address, and that's it.
Yeah. Book him for a consultation and book me for a consultation because I got one in 5 minutes. You see, the game don't start. I've been talking shit for an hour. Y'all thought I was about to go expert level pussy chase? No, I'm about to have another hour conversation. Change
Let's
lives.
go. Let's go. Paul, AV, aka Alpha Villains. Follow me on Instagram at Alpha Villains. Every Tuesday night, DJ Epps and Friends show live on IG. I got a YouTube channel. Subscribe, Alpha Villains. Paul, thank you for coming on, man. This was an excellent topic because it really shows that there is value in the problem. There is a solution in the problem. And once you face that, you can accomplish anything by being a man. And there are people out there that really have your best interest at heart because we are a reflection of what we want to see happen. So, peace.
Cool. So, you guys tune in tomorrow. We're going to do Free Game Fridays with Lawrence D. Adams. The time going to be 7 o'clock. I don't know if that's too early. That's why we got a test. That's what the test is. We got to see it too early. If I don't like how the shit flow, no more 7 o'clock. But we got to do the shit. I'm telling y'all that because it's about action. You think, then you apply. Apply pressure to your life and the shit that you want to fucking do. Peace, y'all.
Peace, guys.
Catch the playback.
Leave a comment.
Late.
Yeah.